Hello again, welcome back, and for those who are new, welcome to the channel. Today I want to talk about a book called Inspector Hobbes and the Blood. It's by Wilkie Martin. I assume I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it is the first book in the Unhuman series. I ended up getting this book in a set as an ebook. I was looking around, and I think Google Books was giving it away for free. So I looked at it. I looked at what the description was. It seemed interesting, and so I jumped on board. And I read it, and it actually the collection is the first 3 books in the series. There's actually 4. There are actually 4 books in the series. So I haven't read the 4th book in the series yet. But I did enjoy reading Inspector Hobbes and the Blood. Inspector Hobbes lives in a small town in England, in Cotswold. And as you might have guessed from the title, he is an inspector. He works for the police, and he is very different as far as people go. He looks very brutish, very, very large individual. You can kind of make parallels between Inspector Hobbes and a gorilla. But that's not to say that he is a gorilla. You're, at least in the first few books, you're never really given a good idea as to what Hobbes actually is. It could be he's kind of a throwback, a Neanderthal. But you're never quite sure. You just know that he is very large, very imposing, and he... Basically, all the rest of the police on the police force, they respect him because he's able to get things done. He's able to close cases, and they're very proud to have him on the force, but he is a very large, intimidating presence. The book is actually told from the perspective of Andy. Andy is a reporter who runs into Inspector Hobbes through the course of his investigations. Andy is described as being the worst reporter in this city. And because of what ends up happening with Andy, he loses his job, his apartment gets burned down. He ends up moving in with Inspector Hobbes because Inspector Hobbes has a house, he has an extra room, and he moves in. He meets Inspector Hobbes' housekeeper, Mrs. What is her name? I had it here. Mrs. Goodfellow. Mrs. Goodfellow is an older lady who collects teeth. And the first time she sees Andy, she basically says, "You have very nice teeth. May I have them when you're done with them?" The thing is that she's an extremely good cook, and that's one of the reasons why Mrs. Goodfellow works for Hobbes. And Andy just kind of gets over the fact that she's kind of weird. She, as I recall, she also teaches martial arts at like the community center. So an odd mix of characters. The thing is that it is called the Unhuman series because of the fact that there are people who are not human in this series. While it does get serious at times, it is tongue-in-cheek. There is a humorous bent to a lot of things. Andy is put in a lot of situations where the thing is that you see, in a lot of the material that you see and read about the series, Andy is described as being incompetent. The thing is I don't really think that Andy is incompetent. He's not stupid. He's just naive in a lot of ways. Maybe he's not, I mean, he isn't one of the best reporters, but they keep making fun of him because he was sent to a pet show and he got attacked by like a hamster or a gerbil or something. And so they keep making fun of him for that. And there's a lot of things that happen during the course of the series that, like at one point he's trying to help Inspector Hobbes because Inspector Hobbes went missing. And Andy puts the clues together to figure out where Inspector Hobbes was and tried to go help him. In the process, he loses his pants. So it's got that absurdist kind of humor where the protagonist is put in situations where the situation is ridiculous, not because he's an idiot, but because that makes the situation ridiculous. So some of some of what Andy goes through, like I said, is because of his naivety and his inexperience with what's going on around him, rather than him being a stupid person. He is curious, and he tries to do his best as a reporter, but situations keep arising that force him to look like an idiot. Like I said, they keep making fun of him because he got attacked by a hamster at a pet show. I mean, the thing is if you got attacked by a hamster, are you the kind of person who would deliberately kill the small rodent because you're so much bigger than that rodent? Or would you be the kind of person who tries to get out of the situation without harming the animal and thus looking like an idiot because you're jumping around trying to, I don't know, dislodge the hamster from your pant leg? That's kind of the situation that Andy finds himself in a lot of ways. The thing is that, like I said, Andy comes through in a lot of ways as a good friend, eventually a good friend to Inspector Hobbes. And even though when he gets involved with Inspector Hobbes, Andy comes to understand that Inspector Hobbes may not be entirely human. So, Inspector Hobbes and the Blood, there is, as you might have guessed from the cover here and from the title, there is a vampire bent to the narrative. I don't want to give too much away. There's some murders, some suicides, some thefts that are happening here in this little sleepy town that are out of the ordinary, obviously. And this string of occurrences is what Inspector Hobbes starts to investigate. And you come to find out that some of the things that have been stolen may have ties back to Dracula, to Vlad Tepes, the original Dracula. And because of that, and because of the fact that not everyone in the story turns out to be entirely human, or in fact to be human at all, because of that, because of this difference in difference is probably the wrong word here, but because of this strangeness in the town, not only are you drawn into what could be happening next, but how are these vampires going to be related to what's going on? Why are they trying to find these artifacts? What does it have to do with Vlad Tepes? Things like that. So I liked the book. I wouldn't say it was a 5-star out of 5-star kind of thing. 3.5, 4 maybe. It was good. I felt there were some rough patches in the book that could have been polished a little bit better. And the characterization of Andy that I kept coming across was that he was an idiot, that he was incompetent, but he's really not. It's the situations around him that are forcing him to look ridiculous. And because of that, he is actually a smart person. He is actually trying his best, but maybe he's, in the wrong line of work, maybe. But anyway, interesting book. It's an interesting kind of alternate world kind of thing where the strange is real, and how does that strangeness interact with the normal world. Anyway, very good read. I look forward to actually finishing the series. A lot of other books I got to get through first, but Inspector Hobbes and the Blood by Wilkie Martin, first in the Unhuman series of books. And if you have questions or comments, please leave them down below. Like and subscribe as always, and until next time, enjoy what you're reading.